are live.
Whoa.
Hello. Do you recognize that?
Hello.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I know what that is.
What is it?
My fiance has made me watch this movie 150 times over and over again. This is Home Alone.
I love it. It's my favorite movie of all time. It's a classic.
I know this movie like the back of... Well, I only know Coming to America more than this movie. She watches it literally.
Right?
And come
McAllister
Christmas
household.
time, this movie is on at least 5 to 6 times a day.
A day. Okay,
day.
enough of the movie. It's in my ear.
Yeah. Kill the movie.
Kill the movie.
Macaulay Culkin's done.
He's done. Welcome to another episode of Market Overdrive. I am your host, Karla, Mina, residential real estate broker with Coldwell. How are you, Mr. Memeti?
I am good. Licensed
good?
loan officer with iLoan. That's what I am.
That's what you do?
That's what I is.
That's what you do during
Yeah.
the daytime.
I
What do you
guess
do
I'm
during
the
nighttime?
owner of iLoan, or the founder of iLoan, I
Founder?
should say. So, you know.
Founder?
Yeah, founder,
Absolutely.
owner. Founder's a fancier word than owner, isn't it?
I like it.
I don't
like
know
it
that you
better.
can
It
find
sounds better.
anything,
Yeah.
create
I
anything.
found
Created it.
And then, yeah, there you go. Here we are.
How are you, Javier?
I'm doing great.
I don't know the founder.
Mortgage banker with the Federal Savings Bank, NMLS 217343. And I'm actually pretty happy. Just moved into the Glenview area about 3 years ago, and I've definitely seen our
You
guests
had
that
to
we
throw that
actually
out there,
have
right?
here.
That he's in Glenview. And
Yeah, just
You
saying.
literally moved there?
I moved there about 3 years ago.
You live there?
Yeah,
I totally thought you lived in the west suburbs.
not in
know
the west
that?
suburbs.
Oh,
how
my
well
bad.
do you know your co-host? I mean,
I
we're
don't
like
know why.
a family here.
We're gonna-
I don't know why. I thought for
We'll
some
do
reason
some
he was
catching
some.
up.
Okay.
And I'm really excited with the people that we're actually bringing onto the show today, just because I see them everywhere. I see their listings just about every neighborhood that I go into. I've kind of been exploring the North Shore area a little bit more frequently.
Maybe
and
that's why you should mention why we started our show with that clip.
Exactly. So, like, the North Shore is very famous, especially in Hollywood. A lot of the homes that are used in a lot of, like Home Alone, Ferris Bueller, a lot of these properties are located in the North Shore. And as I've started to get immersed in this market, I've noticed a couple different trends. And a lot of the trends that we possibly foresee in this market are sometimes a lot of misconceptions. So, the guests that we have today are Marla and Matthew Schneider with Coldwell Banker. They're actually out of the North Shore
Yay,
office.
Coldwell Baker family, finally. Yay!
Here we go. Here we go.
A little blue, right?
Yes, blue white.
She's biased to the blue.
We're biased to the blue. How are you?
Great.
Good. How are you?
Marla, when you came in today, you know what my first question was, can you get me in to see the house that they recorded Ferris Bueller because it's the box one? So do you have contacts over there?
Oh, sure.
Yes!
Didn't that house just sell recently?
Well, it has contacts everywhere.
that house just
It did.
Before we get into houses, let's back up a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, your career, and
Always trying to kill the fun. I
Well,
just
we
got
have
myself
to we
into
have to
the
get
house.
acclimated with the guests before we go on to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm sorry, that's
Before
the way
I
it
get
works.
into favors.
Right?
So we'll start
talk
with
later.
Marla, actually. Marla, how long have you been in the industry now for?
30 years.
30 years? And specifically, where have you really made your mainstay? Like, what market is it that you could say, like, this is your backyard, this is what you own?
Well, the North Shore, but we're primarily in Glenview, Northbrook, but all over the North Shore, and not just the North Shore. I shouldn't just say that, because we certainly go out of the areas of Morton Grove, Niles, and all around. The city we kind of stay away from because it's sort of out of our element.
Okay. Nice. And Matthew, what about yourself? How long have you been in the real estate industry?
You're going to have to get closer to the microphone. There we
I
go.
grew up in the business. I've been in the business for 13 years.
You grew up in the business. What was that like?
It was pretty wild. We talked about it earlier. There were some rough moments, but I made it through.
How rough?
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
Sometimes
me.
we didn't eat, we didn't get toys.
See?
but-
See?
Did you
See?
get toys?
if a closing went bad right in front of Christmas, nothing happened, right? Nothing
happened.
No G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu
nothing.
grip, nothing.
No food. Are you a good cook, Marla? I want to ask this. I think we should take a survey among like female realtors. Like, is your mom a great cook?
Well, putting that
Yes,
on
of course. She's a
spot.
fantastic cook.
Nick, is your mom a great
My
cook?
mom is a horrible cook. Mom, I love you more than anything in the world, but you can't cook nothing. My mom's like either pasta, which she overboils, or orders a pizza, and that's it.
You know what? The kids say the same thing to me. It's like, Mommy, you can't cook. And I'm like, maybe I should take, cooking lessons or something. And I'm like, forget it. Too busy. Let's order
Carla's
food.
lucky that Mia doesn't have a Yelp review on her, because I've seen the stories before. Where this is
Right.
not good, Mommy.
You can't
not
cook.
gonna-
I don't care. It's like, listen, we're going out to eat today. Right, Marla?
Absolutely.
We had a closing. Yay, celebrate.
Right?
Love it.
So 30 years, 13 years, 43 years combined. What would you say has definitely been one of the trends that you've seen kind of change here in the last 5 or 6 years? After this whole, like, a lot of times people are kind of talking about the subprime crash. Obviously, I'm pretty sure some people in North Shore did experience some equity loss significantly. How have you seen that bounce back now, where it's like the market trends are going up, where we're kind of dictating more of a seller's market, especially in today's day. But one thing that kind of caught my eye with the first time that I met with Matthew is the price points kind of differentiate specifically. What kind of trends are you seeing right now in the marketplace?
I would say very much so. It's definitely very price point sensitive. But what we've seen recently is, particularly since the market started to come back, a lot of investment. We've seen a lot of new construction, depending on the price point, and a lot of rehabilitation of different product. But it's definitely price point specific. As you continue to climb the ladder, the market thins out, and there's just not a lot of buyers.
Okay. What kind of price point are you seeing specifically more in demand right now?
Definitely under $1 million.
Under $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And a lot of rehab work, or
there is, particularly the last couple of years, it started to thin out a little bit because there's not really any distressed property left, and you can't really pick up a property at a bargain anymore. So it's starting to thin out
There
a
are no
little bit.
bargains. I thought you said we could find something under $1 million. They
We'll
do
find you
exist,
something
right?
good, yes.
We'll find. But that's key, though, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, the North Shore, you can't, aside from Ferris Bueller's story, we can't buy anything under $1 million. So you're telling me we can definitely, if family wants to relocate to this neighborhood, there is opportunity?
Absolutely. Our median sale price is about $600.
600.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. And so typically those homes, just so that you can educate me on how do I need to be aggressive when I'm in that price point, or is it good for me to take my time and rationale through everything?
It depends on location, where you're looking, depends on the suburb, but around the median prices, homes are moving quickly. And
Okay.
good product is selling quickly.
But if you're a seller that's looking to sell a property over $1 million, then you're looking to stay longer, Marla?
Yes, absolutely. In today's market, absolutely. Depending upon obviously location and condition, if it's over $1 million and it's in great condition and a great location, it has a better chance of selling quicker. But we're seeing few and far buyers right now in that price range.
Well, let's rewind for a second. When people, we have a lot of listeners that actually follow us that don't even live in Illinois, so they don't understand what North Shore, Glencoe, and all that stuff is. To give it somewhat of an equivalent, I guess, to, let's say, California, our North Shore would be considered along the lines of a Malibu, like in California, or some of those more affluent Orange counties, some of those more affluent. It would be our upper end neighborhood. So when you think of the North Shore, people, I think, a tendency around here have a tendency to think of like $3 million houses, these big 20,000 square foot. That's where they exist. They exist up in the North Shore. So you're saying that's not, they're there, but the more common moving parts are the 700, 750,000.
Right.
They do exist, but you got to remember the $3 million, I think I pulled it the other day, above $3 million, you only had about 20 sales this year. So it's not a big piece of the market. It's a very small niche of the market. The majority of bulk of sales are going around the median sale price, above and below.
And I think just speaks a lot about the buyer, right? So the buyer has changed a lot, and I think that's why we decided to name this topic, bigger is not always better, right? I mean, a lot of people are looking to have smaller homes with more amenities, you said, rather than spending more money and having a larger home. So is that something that dictates why the market in the upper, above $1 million is sitting, because maybe they don't speak to that floor plan of preference?
I think that could have to do with it. And some of the larger homes are older, and they're compound rooms. They're not as open. Most people today are looking for big open floor plans, and a lot of the homes that are older are room after room, and are not as appealing and expensive to have to redo. So those are sitting a while.
Okay. And I think typically when you're selling a property, right, as a realtor, I understand that. I mean, I was just in Barrington looking for a really good friend of mine, and we were shopping and looking at these floor plans, and they don't really speak to the modern amenities. And I think that a lot of sellers need to have a wake-up call, because one of the comments that the realtor hosting the listing, the showing said to me was, that's why we're priced at this level, because, we don't have the amenities, or, we still have oak cabinets at $1 million. And I'm thinking, we're doing the clients a disservice. And I think, Marla, you and I talked about staging. Like, how key is staging in your business right now?
Very important. Very important. And it's really important today that when you go on a market appointment, that you let that seller know we should not become live until we stage you and get you in a state where the buyer can, even if it's dated, to visualize it. It's so important today.
Right. And I think that a lot of these are the hard conversations that we like to say in the industry. A lot of rookie agents are afraid to have like serious, hard conversations with their clients where we're like, listen, you want your property sold, you need to take the following steps. You earlier you mentioned that you tell a client to take down the wallpaper. That's a big thing. Like, client's going to look at you like you're crazy. I don't have time for this.
Well, it's going to be also the demographic of the seller, right? So a lot of these properties that you're looking at, you are looking at a different price point. So you have a different seller. You might be looking at a baby boomer. So a baby boomer, just mentally, grasping this is most likely also going to take direction from a more experienced real estate agent as opposed to a novice agent, right?
Not necessarily. I think that as long as you understand the market and you're advising your clients and you're showing them the properties that have sold and what they look like, they're going to understand market time. I think that baby boomers are more, I think it's more of a lifestyle or a way of thinking. Excuse me. I think a baby boomer is going to be more of the generation of like TLC, right? Do it yourself, grow into the home, buy it, and put some love into eventually and build equity. Whereas buyers today are just the entitled, like the now generation. We want to get it now. And so we have to have that mind shift education where we're telling our baby boomer clients that, yes, you're at $1 million, but you need about, $600 to $700,000 in renovation in some cases, because these are in fact larger homes, and the clients are looking for that open floor plan, that updated kitchen. And some of these homes did not cater to my clients' demand. So that's why you're seeing a lot of, and of course, again, why are we seeing the slowdown in that price point?
Exactly. That's the reason, because the buyer is looking for a redone home, a home they can move into if they're going to spend that kind of money. But I do understand if you get the baby boomers and they're in a certain price point. And I mean, years ago, you'd show them houses and you'd say to them, well, the most important thing is the bones of the house. You could change the kitchen when you can. But they're not liking that right now. Now they want that now. They want I totally agree with you. They want that right away. They're not going to accept the fact that they can do the kitchen when they can't. They want it now.
Yeah.
And they want it for a certain price, which that's the difficulty
now. That's the next difficult step to be able to kind of overcome.
Right. Absolutely.
Floor plan is very important. That's why all new construction, they're reshifting the way that they design these homes. I mean, my client specifically last night was saying, okay, I want a master suite on the main level because that makes sense for an elder, right? If we want to have mom come in from Japan. But we also want to have a master suite upstairs. So we have multiple en suites. And of course, the open floor plan where it's a flow between the dining area into the kitchen, into the living room, into the family room where we all can like entertain, because they're very interested in entertaining. But a lot of these homes do not cater to that, that demand. So going back to how we service our clients, I know it's a Coldwell Banker standard to always, give the best customer service and elevate our clients, IQ when it comes to listing a property. I take a lot of time. I think it's like 30 days prior to listing to get a property decluttered, painted, and just get things done, because you're going to spend more time on the market if you don't take care of these items prior to listing. Would you agree? Or
Absolutely.
How does your business plan differentiate from that?
Matthew's actually far better than me, because he's always saying, calm down, we can't come live. He is.
You got to take your steps. You got to go through the house, point out what needs to be done, let them do it, and then of course they only do about half of it. Go back, tell them they got to do the rest, and then
they're like kids, right?
Then start your process.
You're like, listen, my mom told me.
They never do everything.
So is he like your middle guy? You tell him, go tell him. Like, I'm not even gonna go over there anymore.
He's good at it.
That's what you do in the team.
A little bit.
I love it.
One of the surprising things that Matthew and I were kind of discussing as well too is that a lot of times in this market, you're not really dealing with first-time home buyers as well too. You're looking with a lot of move-up buyers, people who are moving out from the city, moving out there, people who are now in a better financial position to be able to make some of these bigger acquisitions. And one of the things that kind of came about is like what kind of a demographic is it that you're seeing? Like what professionals? Like is it that you're seeing mostly as your predominant your buyers and age group?
Age group would definitely be more of your on the move up side, definitely more of the Gen Xers, so like 36 to 45.
Okay.
And then definitely a lot of people in the medical field I've seen purchasing bigger homes. Corporate professionals, we do a lot of corporate relocation for people coming in. And then certainly, the young professionals coming from the city,
okay.
That are, tend to be a little bit not necessarily millennial, more of the Gen Xer.
So you got a bunch of know-it-alls coming in.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So essentially, if I'm coming in for $750,000, I want everything ready, according to what you said. So it sounds like houses are getting smaller because, at the end of the day, square footage plays a big role in all of pricing, no matter where you are in this country.
It's true.
So if I got $750,000, I'd rather. It sounds like your clients are into smaller homes with a little bit more bells and whistles versus just bigger homes that need a bunch of rooms knocked out. That's what's happening.
I would totally agree. Yeah, I mean, people want the latest design trend. The perfect kitchen, the perfect bathrooms, and if those aren't done, then they don't really want to go in and do renovations. So it's very important to have everything done, and those do sell for top dollar.
Are you seeing a lot of people who might be opting to do those renovations preset before they go on the market so that way they have better success in selling their property? Or flexibility with sellers who are willing to maybe do some of the reno to be able to get the property moving for a specific buyer who they know is maybe not going to want to take on the inordained task of actually doing the rehab or the renos themselves? Are you seeing that a little bit in the marketplace at all, or no?
I would say not so much. I mean, most sellers don't want to pour a ton of money into the home before they're selling. So we end up working with them and sprucing up in various ways, removing the wallpaper, cleaning it up, staging, working with what we have as best as we can so we can maximize value in that respect. But as far as buyers coming in, most of them don't want to do the renovations, but we try to, be the middleman, try to coordinate if we can, get a contractor in there, work with the buyer if they want to redo a kitchen, redo a bathroom, just try to facilitate the transaction as best as we can.
Nice. Yeah, because I think that we're in and I always say this, like a shifting market, but I think it's a shifting mindset, right?
Yeah.
These buyer or sellers bought at the height of the market. So when you bought at the height, right, it hasn't been significant growth per se, especially because a lot of people, like you said, want a smaller home. They may not want all those 5 bedrooms, but they want cozy and they want floor plans. So how do you shift it? You already have the existing homes and you're not going to change all the homes, but there is a buyer for everything. It's just educating the seller, educating this person to understand it. You have to update. So Marla, if I were putting my property on the market today, what would you say would be the one thing key that you'd like me to do in order for me to compete?
Well, first I'd have to see it, and it's very hard though if you walk into some of the homes that are elderly people that have lived in a certain way. You can't ask them to got the kitchens and baths. It's not in there.
Grandma, tear it all down. It's all gotta go. It's all gonna work. No millennial's gonna buy your wallpaper from 1948. Is that even made of paper or lead? What is that up there? I'm just kidding.
There's lead.
It's both. Your lead paper.
Stop it.
Why?
No, they're not.
I've been, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut it off, but I literally just went through this myself. I was shopping for homes in Oakbrook. Forever. And Oakbrook is, I guess, an equivalent to the western suburbs of the North Shore. And, all the homes that I was looking at within a certain price point with a certain square footage were older. And, yeah, I'd walk through and there it would be, the old school oak panels and, just every time I walk into a place,
price point,
I gotta level
cabinets.
everything to do it the way I want to do it, so it's just what happens. And I think that's where there's a struggle and why a lot of those houses sit on the market for so long.
That's right.
These people just want to sell it and
I just came up with the business idea.
The elderly, so they don't have the energy to go through the renovation. And if you're telling me Gen X doesn't have the energy to put a renovation in, you almost sound like you're at a stalwart of some sort.
It's a tough one.
Maybe we should come up with a company that just does renovations for sale.
Yeah.
And we take care of the items that we know are necessary to get a property sold, which I believe are kitchen and bathrooms.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Kitchen and bathrooms are definitely
Give it a
thing.
facelift. Like just reface the kitchen cabinets. You can do that, right? Take off and repaint or maybe whatever. But those are the things that really sell. Like women gravitate to the kitchen and I'm not being gender specific
you know what?
here. I'm just saying that people like kitchens and the bathrooms. When you see the first thing they look at are these items and they're like, oh my gosh, the property needs a lot of work. It's like, hello, it's just a kitchen, and then you can modify it to your best liking. And they're like, no, can we keep looking?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of these like renovations and rehabs, open houses with my agents. And the first thing that I always see everybody gravitate to is kitchens, bathrooms, and laundry rooms, believe it or not. Like just having the luxury of having a laundry room in the second floor and not having to go all the way down to the basement or something like that. That's like a huge thing for certain families or certain housemakers and things like that. So it's important of incorporating everything together. That's why, like, in a way now, like at least my last 3 transactions, 2 in Northbrook, 1 in Glenview, we had to do rehab type of loans because they found the properties about $460,000 price range. That definitely required a lot of extensive work, probably about $120,000 to $130,000 in construction work. but we were able to make the deal work because it fit in their specific price point. My question to you would be in this, as a buyer side, let's say you have a buyer that comes to you and says, hey, I have a $900,000 budget and probably about $150,000 liquid. What would probably be your best game plan for a buyer who is maybe not looking to go over $1 million, but has enough room to play with where he could possibly be creative with that budget?
Well, it all depends where he wants to be, too. See, the problem is if they want to be in a specific area like east, the price point is higher. So, I mean, if they're prepared to go a little bit further west, it could be more attractive. It all depends on where they want to be. I mean, it's just when you cross a line, the prices are more attractive.
What line would that be?
Well, in particularly Glenview, so anything east of Waukegan,
right,
is commands a bigger dollar. West of Waukegan, it's more attractive a price. And there's some very nice areas west of Waukegan that you could probably do very well at that price point.
Look at Javi. He's taking notes. You know he's on the market, right?
Yeah.
Are you in the market to buy? There you go. Marla, I knew an agent's looking to buy something.
It really is.
Where are you going to go, Hobbs? West or east?
I'm going north, actually.
Where are you going?
Oh,
Looking
boy.
to go
We're
into
going to have a
Northbrook.
buyer consultation.
To Northbrook.
Yeah, Northbrook.
Matthew's in Northbrook.
I live in Northbrook.
Yeah, Northbrook. Yeah, he was telling me that's the goal. GBN, school district.
Well, Matthew's we've got a lot of listings. He's got a lot of listings in Northbrook.
Okay, we'll talk offline.
It's a very nice one.
Okay. You see, now we're already doing a buyer's consultation now.
See, Nick.
This is totally
He said
moving away.
segment
Thanks
one
a
was
lot.
all
Yeah.
about me,
Good job,
so that I
Rob.
could get.
Way to bring them on and you end up buying a house.
Buying a house.
All right.
There we go.
Let's do a talk show here.
He just wants your pocket listing.
Let's do a talk show here.
Yeah, can we have educate people and get other people deals?
Right?
I mean, we've had nothing but requests for you. I want to get an inside scoop into the first Biller home, and Javi's over here. Oh
Look
my
at the
God!
bar.
Look at how much
Northbrook.
he's sweating. Did I put him on the spot?
Put me on the spot.
All right, man. You get this boy a cup of coffee,
Jesus
right?
Christ.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness! Here.
Oh, Lord.
Look at you! Wow. It wasn't that bad, Javier.
I
It's
know.
only a
Average-
question.
Let's go. It's a more affluent neighborhood. We get it. The average across the country is somewhere in like mid 200s sale price, and you're talking about an average in the 700,000s. What is the typical market time for? Well, let me correct that. A house that's relatively ready, you could buy it and move straight in. What's the typical market time on that in that $700,000 range versus something that, it does have grandma's wallpaper all over it still?
Oh boy.
You hate grandma's paper.
Well, I mean, that just means it's going to need a lot of work.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
I had to
definitely
take wallpaper
price
down
sensitive.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've done it.
It's terrible.
It's definitely price sensitive. Something that's ready to go and priced correctly for the marketplace is going to sell within 30 days. Should no problem.
That price point.
In that price point. As you go up
Marla
the totem
guarantees
pole,
it.
It's gonna those numbers are gonna expand. Average market time above $1 million along the North Shore is pushing about 150 days right now.
Wow.
So that's it's a long time.
Deals.
Don't look at me. I just bought a house.
Get those
But
deals.
But those areas, like for instance, I just in Glenview, some of the Glen Air and the Circles and all those are the very old homes. And there's this gentleman I see where I work out, and his house has been on the market. And actually, he bought one of my listings a long time ago, and he says everybody complains. It's the kitchen and the baths. It's like $1,399,000, and it was $1,699,000. He keeps
Wow.
adjusting it, but nobody is willing to go. Nobody is willing to go in and do that kind of work right now.
Which
I mean,
is crazy because if you look at the investment that it would probably take to renovate a kitchen, and you don't even have to go crazy with the renovation because again, you're going to get to very specific of what the next buyer is going to want, and no one knows what this new buyer is going to want.
Right.
They're probably going to go back, to be honest with you, and redo it anyway later. But in instant gratification, I want it now thing, it just has to look like it so they can justify their expense, so they can justify the amount that they're spending on the home.
I think that's probably very true.
Absolutely.
Do you think it would help to be able to have some form of like a digital visual layout where they might be able to take a look at a home and be able to like maybe reconfigure
You
the
would
layout
say
to get an
something like
idea
that.
of it.
You mean like false advertising online with fake? We've had this conversation before. No.
What do you mean?
What do you mean like digital? Like just
There's like
showing
new
it
digital.
before and after?
There's no. I've seen like a couple of different developers or whatnot. They're kind of still in test cases, but I've had a couple of people approach me where they could literally come in, similar to what our guy here, our producer, Dietrich does with like the Matterport, where they could literally come in and completely reconfigure the layout of a property. And, for someone to like literally within 48 hours be able to send them specs and plans to kind of get an idea of the potential the property could possibly have.
But that's got to be the buyer that's willing to do it.
Okay.
And that's what we're struggling with right now. We're not finding that buyer. I mean,
Javi has a hard time understanding it when it comes from me. So Marla, can you please?
we're just not right now, and we're not finding that buyer that wants to come in and do it. I mean, it can be, that's a wonderful idea what you're saying. Show them what could be done, but the buyers right now, they're not wanting to do it.
It's a mindset shift.
So we've gotten lazier.
Yes, a little
We've
bit.
essentially gotten
Yeah.
lazier. I personally don't think I can move into a house without touching something.
I don't necessarily
I've
think
got
it's
to put my
laziness,
thing on that house,
Right.
but for the most part, I think some people.
No, I just think that people.
People are
it's
just
time.
overwhelmed.
It's
Yeah.
time. We don't
I
have.
agree.
We don't have extra time for anything.
Yeah.
We are
That's
moving into
true.
a very fast-paced lifestyle where your demo, right? Your moms, you're working. Not necessarily all working moms. There's a lot of stay-at-home moms, but the moms are overwhelmed with the children. Like now, 2 kids overwhelm us. Like my mom had 5 kids, and now I don't even know how she did it. I'm overwhelmed with 2, but we're overwhelmed. But a lot of demands. For a businesswoman like myself, I don't have enough time. I can imagine having to buy a house and live in it and renovate it while living in it. And a lot of people, and I think it's financing as well. I mean, do you have any financing options for people to say, I'm going to buy it and then I'm going to renovate it?
Yeah, there's
And
a
how
lot
does
of
that
different
work?
financing options. It just really depends on their requirements. Just like anything else, you got to make sure that you meet the FICO requirements, CLTV requirements. What we've kind of done now, we're actually doing unsecured loans where they're not actually tied to the property title. If the credit is in good standing and the debt to income ratios are there, we could do an unsecured loan so that way they can shop with different GCs and then be able to get the best bang for their buck and not have to just go all in with one specific general contractor. So there's a lot of different financing options out there in the marketplace to be able to make things work. It just really depends on the specific buyer.
So walk me through that again. So we're looking at a price point of say 1.5.
Like for instance, when you're doing a renovation loan specifically where it's tied to a mortgage, a lot of the times you're going to be situated with one general contractor. That general contractor is going to be funded based off of phases in that construction process. If you're doing a non-secured loan that is not going to be tied to the property, you're no longer affecting an LTV-CLTV ratio with the property, and you could technically use this unsecured loan of anywhere between $50,000 to $150,000 that we offer there at the Federal Savings Bank, as long as they meet the requirements, and they could freely use different general contractors to be able to do the work. We've all been there in a situation where you get a quote for a kitchen, and 5 different general contractors are going to give you 5 different specs of work, right? This will give you the flexibility of kind of extending that dollar the best you can so that way you can become your own personal GC and kind of manage your process along the way when you're doing these renovations.
But see, Javier, in that scenario, I do agree with you with having the what they call the 3D goggles that you wear, and you can actually walk through a property. And this is like it's a rendering, right? So it's all graphic design. It's not real, but you can actually look at the area. And it's going to show you what its potential going to look based on what the general contractor design or the architect design as far as like the finishes. I mean, I have a property in Lakeview that we're actually thinking about doing that just because it's not finished and it's taken us a long time to finish the construction. It's brand new construction.
Okay.
So that would work for something like that, specifically in the marketing aspect of it. Or if you do have an existing home with an existing seller that's saying, sell it, I don't want to deal with it, I just want to get it off the market, as is. And be able to apply one of your loan programs to do something like that. I think that's a great idea if someone wanted to, fix it and make it and customize it to their demands. Do you agree, Matt? Like, what would you say?
Definitely. That actually sounds very advantageous to me, the unsecured portion, because that's where you run into problems with the renovation loans that they take a long time. And you could talk to any realtor and they'll say, oh, those are terrible. It takes 90 days to close, or they won't end up closing. So, they've got really kind of bad word of mouth. So something that's unsecured, someone can go close, shop around. They don't have to do the renovation right away. That sounds very, very advantageous to me.
So Javier, is this tied to where we close it and then the buyer gets to do whatever they want with the renovation and the loan, or is this something that the seller has to sit through until?
No, We close it just like a standard transaction. The unsecured loan is completely separate from the transactions as a whole. That's why it kind of creates less of an inordinate process for both the selling and the buying parties involved. So you close on your transaction standard like as you would any other transaction. You get the unsecured loan, and you'll be able to use those funds immediately after closing.
Love it. See, Marla, we're not just asking you for stuff. We just gave you another option for your
No,
sellers.
it sounds wonderful, but many times people have to move in that house and live through that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And that's what people don't want to do.
Because not everybody can afford to
Go up in price point
and
finish.
own two homes, or stay in their home while it's being renovated.
No, absolutely. That's why, like, sometimes some people kind of do it like in phases, as opposed to kind of doing like
Right.
everything all at once. I actually had one of my neighbors who had a split ranch, and literally, I remember it was like about 5 months they were living in the first level, and then the next 6 months they were living in the top level, and they were just kind of like going back and forth. And I remember he used to tell me, he's like, "Yeah, I have to go to the gym and shower and stuff like that." My wife was using the bathroom, but sometimes some people you got to do what you have to do, right? And if you have the end goal of you want to live in a certain neighborhood, you want to live in a certain school district for your children, sometimes you have sacrifices you need to make. And maybe taking that split ranch at $400,000-$500,000 price point and spending $150,000 and having an aftermarket value of $700,000 to $800,000, that's what equity comes in. And sometimes you just got to roll up your sleeves and work for it.
Is that what you did, Mr. Fix-It?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I just looked at pretty much a piece of land. I mean, I literally looked.
You were shopping for homes, and then you went.
I
the
was
land
shopping
option.
for homes, and then I saw that this is the location I want to be in. So I really wanted open-minded to just tear up the roof. I'm not lazy. I'll do it.
You just love projects.
I do. I'm like addicted to projects.
But I think that's part of being in the business versus not in the business, because we see it all the time. But from an expert standpoint, I would say you're going to make more money and you're going to build more equity for yourself if you do take a product that's as is and then you improve it to your customized likes. And guess what? You get to use it. You get to live in it.
I agree.
Right? And then eventually you're going to sell it for a higher profit margin because you were able to undertake that project. So you have to be a little creative. Yes, I want to have that now generation and buy my 1.5, but it's already turnkey move-in condition. But the likelihood of that, because of the neighborhood that you're catering to, that product, it just doesn't exist. Is that what we're telling our listeners?
Absolutely.
Get real? It doesn't exist? Bigger.
Absolutely.
I think
Like
that
Matthew's like, absolutely.
once we get to
Roll up your sleeves.
when we get to staging and fluffing pillows and blah blah blah, Nick tunes out. Javier just questions everything that I say.
You like to fluff stuff? I don't. I just no. Staging is
Really?
needed, but I don't. Yeah, I could walk in and just see like.
But you're rare. Most people.
Thank you.
No, I don't mean it
I
that way.
appreciate that.
He's unique.
I mean most people today. I mean, I can remember I was very fortunate years ago in one of the big companies. The executives liked me, and I got a lot of referrals from them. And I'll never forget this. Was in Lake Forest, and these people buy houses like you go to the grocery store because they move every 2 years.
Oh,
Okay?
wow.
So they have a checklist. And I'll never forget, we walked into, it was in this beautiful development in Lake Forest.
Okay.
And him and his wife said it was a mess. It was messy. This is horrible. They bought almost the identical place, same floor plan, but it was clean and neat and whatever. People, people really have to. They don't. I'm not saying. I'm generalizing. There are people that can look past it, but the majority of people really can't. And why I always tell that story is because these are people that moved all the time. They should have looked past that.
I love it.
But
And I
we're
think
living-
that's great advice, though.
We're living in an era of things like Instagram and Pinterest. I mean, everybody that's that demographic that Matt said earlier, and that like Gen X, 34 to 50, let's just say, they have access to these things. The problem is you're looking at these pictures and you're looking at what would be like a $400,000 kitchen, and you're expecting it in your $700,000 home. So you got to be somewhat of a practical individual here. If you're going to go in. You have to realize you're going to get a better deal on something that needs work.
I agree.
And so make it look like that kitchen that you did see online. You can't assume that every house is going to have those, Pinterest quality kitchens and bathrooms all put in there. You got to create that yourself. I mean, you want something, go do it.
With that Pinterest example, I thought you were going to go with, look at Pinterest and get the idea so you know what to do. But a lot of people on Pinterest are probably just getting recipes to bake cakes, and that's probably why these YouTube shows on how to bake cakes are so popular. I think that when it gets to bake cakes,
really, man,
I'm
bake
just
cakes.
feeling down on myself for my lack
I think a lot of people go to Pinterest for decor and like a lot of just
yes,
the
but
decor
where I
more
was
than
going with
anything.
that is that decor, but they want it done for them. Because let's do a challenge, right? Who are you? What kind of a person are you? Are you the type of person that has, you know how they do that design with like 4 different picture frames and you have to figure out how to lay it out so it aligns itself perfectly? Do you do it yourself or do you hire somebody else? Like something as simple as putting up pictures on the wall to decorate your living room. If you're the type of person that's going to hire somebody to do it because you're so afraid that you're not going to get the lines right, like myself, I'm definitely going to hire somebody else. But because I've done renovations and I've worked with my clients who are flipping properties, I understand how to visualize a space and say, okay, we're going to modify this wall. You could do that. You can refurbish floors, look under the carpet to see if there's hardwood. That's easy. It's just, sand and stain versus, you know what, we're going to have to lay new tile upstairs. So I can do that. But your average buyer is not going to be able to do that, right?
You can
and
lay
that's what
tile?
you're saying. I know how to lay tile.
You can't lay tile.
I can lay
Can't
tile.
lay tile.
No,
I don't know.
Trust me,
No.
I can lay tile.
I don't buy it.
Just kidding. Anyway, I would hire somebody for that. I would pay for that. It's something you have to pay for somebody that can
I
lay
charge
tile.
to lay tile these days.
You should.
Do you?
Yeah, we just charge.
That's your side gig.
Yeah, side gig.
You side gig laying tiles.
I don't know.
I
Do you
don't
think you
charge.
can lay tiles?
I could lay tiles.
Oh yeah.
All right, perfect. Now that we got our resumes out there.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. Your example about how a specific that buyer went and bought the same identical home but just decluttered and cleaned. That's another thing that people should listen to and take heed because, there's homes that are just dirty and people can't see past that.
No, they can't because they feel that the house is not maintained and they don't feel it's a house should not be shown unless it's in perfect condition.
Yeah.
And if it's not, they shouldn't have it. They should not have it on the market.
Definitely. I agree with that. I think that a lot of people, and I know you guys hate to hear me say that, but when I say, real estate is a commodity, it needs to compete with the other properties, and the buyers are going to create demand for and generate, the price. They're going to definitely set the price. You have to compete aggressively. You have to see what your other competitor looks like, and you can't be the ugly property on the block because they're going to use, people. It used to be the mentality of, we're going to use the beautiful stage home as an idea of what we can do to ours so we can fix it and build equity. That mentality is long gone. People want it now. They want it ready. They want it to look like the more expensive property, but at a better deal, right? Because we're still shopping for that deal mentality. And unfortunately, the people that you're catering to are, like you said, in 2008, where have you in height of the market, or 2007, they were buying these homes for $1 million or $4 million plus. And now today, to ask them to, invest $200,000 to renovate a kitchen or a bathroom and floor plans, it's unrealistic. But I think there's got to be a mind shift.
Definitely.
Where do you see the market heading, like in the next year, this year? Are we gonna sustain where we are now, or?
Matthew, you're a numbers person. What do you think?
The first half of the year's been good. It's been healthy. There are signs in our market that are a little frightening. That could be a problem down the road. But overall, the one thing I always look at is inventory levels. Inventory levels are down.
You said frightening. Go back to frightening. What's frightening about the forecast?
I see pockets. It's not necessarily shown in the data. It's more like pockets of neighborhoods where you see a bulk of inventory.
Okay.
And then you see a whole bunch of properties competing against each other. Prices have to come down a little bit before they all get unloaded because they're all sitting. But you see that in various neighborhoods throughout the North Shore.
Okay.
It tends, obviously, it's more expensive stuff. But that's really the only thing that causes concern because the market's good. I mean, the demand's coming from the bottom up. Anything lower priced is moving like hotcakes, no problem, particularly if it's priced right and in decent condition. But inventory levels are relatively lower. I mean, in every suburb pretty much, relatively lower than what they were last year. And demand is good. So I don't see how going into the end of the year we're going to have any type of bad market. I think it's going to remain healthy, and we should have a healthy market going into next year.
Okay.
Provided everything looks good. The economy and everything.
Like it.
Great insight. I love it. Thank you guys for coming out and sharing, your side of the world with us. It's always cool because with Market Overdrive, we bring guests from, we've had people from LaGrange, we've had people from the south suburbs, we've had people from Berwyn. And I love the fact that, you're from the Coldwell banker family. Yes, thank you, Javier. I had to, say that. Finally. Why are you rolling your eyes?
I didn't roll my eyes.
Okay, because for a minute there, I thought you didn't like Coldwell Banker people.
No.
Oh,
No, I got no problem with Coldwell Banker
Okay.
people whatsoever.
Just wanted to make sure that, you know, we're
I just
all on
have
the same
issues with
page.
you,
He's a kid
Karla.
with a balloon, okay?
I just have issues with Karla, but nothing against Coldwell Banker.
But thank you, because I know you're busy transacting. You made time to come out here early in the morning, on time, and you didn't have to put $100 in the bucket. Thanks, Javier and Nick, for the $100.
Not paying. I'm bouncing that check.
Is that in our contract agreement?
Nope.
No?
What do you guys think? Should we charge them $100 for every time that they're late to the show?
Absolutely.
I think so, because our listeners want to hear our show on time every week.
Any famous homes that you guys have transacted in?
Yes.
Any famous?
Any famous homes that you guys may have transacted with in the
You've done a bunch.
30 years,
He's
13 years?
like,
I
"You've
know
done
there's
a
been
bunch,
some
Mom."
famous homes. Come on, Mom.
Not me.
Give us some good stories.
Well, no, the one he didn't buy it though. Who bought one of
We've
our?
come across a few guys.
Right, we've
but
some of
Tyson Chandler bought one of
Oh,
your
Tyson
listings.
Chandler. What's wrong with me? Yes. Yes. So I will tell you the story. I had this new construction on Old Willow,
Okay.
and it was a builder, and it wasn't done. And this agent from the city called me up and said, I have a client. So I said, okay, well, meet me there. I'm going to have my builder come because it wasn't finished. So this big black Mercedes shows up, and this tall guy, this is definitely an athlete.
Okay.
It was Tyson Chandler, and he bought it. And it was, he customized it. He did it and everything. He was traded, like literally the day after he closed.
And this
Are
was
you
like
kidding?
06.
Oh, my God.
06 or 07.
Yeah.
And traded to a bad team.
But
the
he
Knicks, right? Isn't it?
personalized
He
it.
went a couple
yeah.
places.
Mhm. And then Matthew, some of them looked at our properties,
Yeah, we've had a
The
few.
Bulls
Like
player-
Lance Briggs looked at one.
right?
Done some showings with.
Okay.
The
Who else?
the Bulls.
Derek Rose.
Derek Rose.
He was very nice.
Yeah, very nice.
That is funny. You're like me, because I was Googling, like, who is that? I'm talking to Dietrich.
Jesus.
So I had an incident too.
Tyson touchdown Chandler, Karla. How do you not know him?
I would tell you, he was.
Did you know who he was?
No.
See, come on,
I'm
give me a
sorry.
break.
He's 7'1". He wasn't a doctor.
Yeah.
I knew he was a sports player, but you know what? He was in. I spent a lot of time with him because he was doing the. He was customizing it, and he had this darling wife, and he was the nicest person in the world.
Really?
Yeah, he was wonderful. Yeah, but he never really.
It's funny because I had a showing and we had a baseball player come in and I was texting the guys. I'm like, who is this guy? I guess he's famous or something.
Like Babe Ruth.
No, what was his
Came
name?
back from the
Jeff
dead.
Koch or something. He was traded that same summer, and I was like, damn it, maybe I should call him and see if they want to sell the house now. And then I had to do a receipt, because they gave me earnest money, and I was like, okay, can you sign the receipt that you got the earnest money? His wife was like, I'll sign for you. I'm like, come on.
We got a comment from somebody. What's the deal with Michael Jordan's house? You guys are up there in Highland
we
Park.
went.
Why is that thing like
toured
taking
it.
I wanna
800
go.
years to sell?
So we were invited, all of us top realtors, to. First of all, I happen to know the agent very well, and actually my regional, who's not, he actually went on a market on it too, and priced it completely different from where he originally listed it.
Okay.
But was it 2 years ago we went there?
It
They
was
had us
2
all
or
over.
3 years ago.
Yeah, we went there.
When they did an auction for it.
Yeah.
Did they have a broker's open?
Yes.
Did anybody
it-
put a bid in the auction?
I don't
think
believe
so.
so.
No.
I
Because
don't,
they had a
It's
minimum of like 13 million or something.
Yeah.
It's just not a very
It's just
good
a big
looking
number.
house.
it's not.
It's
We
just
were,
not a very
we
good
were
looking
very
house either.
Tell us about the house.
Matthew, go ahead.
It's very cool. It's
very
contemporary. It's
contemporary.
on like 7 acres. The property's gorgeous. It's a contemporary home. The basketball court is really cool.
Well, I mean,
It's Michael
Yeah.
Jordan.
yeah, it's
Michael
Michael
Jordan.
Jordan.
That was the coolest part. But there's parts of the home that were kind of dated, and then parts that were really redone, very fancy.
And that's just it. He's got a contemporary home in what is not a very contemporary neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the biggest problem because people are like, they've always joked with me, they're like, why is this thing not selling? Well, first of all, it's not a million people that want to buy something for $10 million plus.
But they'll
It
spend a lot of
started
money
at
on
22.
gin.
And I feel like the other issue is that
29.
most people that have that kind of money aren't really necessarily running to buy Michael Jordan's house. I mean, you'd have to be like a real fanatic of some sort. But then last but not least, the house is just kind of like 90s contemporary.
That's right.
And I just don't think it's going to ever really sell anywhere near.
I
They're
think
going to turn it into a
price they're looking
museum,
for.
personally.
Yeah,
That's what
they're
I think
looking
they're
for a
going to really
number.
do.
They're
What's
looking
the
for a
address?
number.
Anybody have the
That
address?
number ain't gonna ever happen. Just like a
I'm gonna look
championship
it
with
up
the
and put it
Bobcats
in
ain't gonna ever happen, Mike.
In the feed.
You're
for-
great, Mike, but no, that's not gonna happen.
Well, I don't have internet access, but I was gonna go in the MLS and look it up and post it on social media so people can access the listing.
I can't remember exactly the street, but it's room after room.
2700 Point Drive in Highland Park.
Sounds right.
Okay, we're gonna look it up and put it in the feed so that you guys can check out the photos from the interior.
Put your bids in today.
Taking offers if anyone's interested.
I will go get my real estate license if I could represent you for that purchase.
Absolutely.
I think he started at 22 million.
At 22.
22 million?
Why did
Wow.
you start at 23?
Yeah, right?
Man.
It's
Oh,
marketing.
wow. Anyway, guys, we have to end the party, but thank you so much
Thank
for being a
you.
part of
Thank
our
you.
show and coming out here. I know it's a hike.
And for our
we're-
viewers, where could they possibly reach you if they wanted to get a hold of you?
You can give us a call at 847-657-3790 or the Schneider Group.
The Schneider Group? Your website? Email?
Our website is theschneidergroup.com,
Okay.
and our email is Marla or Matthew .Schneider, SCHNEIDER, at cbexchange.com.
CB
Wonderful.
Exchange, love it. Coldwell Banker Blue. Mr. Memeti,
That's
do us
it.
the honor.
That is a wrap. You want to catch this show with Matthew and excuse me, Marla Schneider. You can obviously catch it on our YouTube channel at Market Overdrive, Facebook/Market Overdrive. We also have our podcast, with WGM podcast that you can also get. This should be up by Monday. And last but not least, obviously, you can always go to our website at marketoverdrive.com. That's a wrap. That is Karla Mina with Coldwell Banker. This show is brought to you by Coldwell Banker, I think. And that is Javier Garcia with the Federal Savings Bank. I'm Nick Memeti of iLoan. And again, we'd like to say thank you to the Schneider Group for coming in today. We'll see you again next week at 10 a.m.